Hello, my little learners. Today, we are going to explore a very interesting chapter materials around us. Have you ever wondered what things around you are made of? From your water bottle to your soft pillow, from the strong table to your warm sweater, everything is made up of different materials. So, let's begin this fun journey together and discover the world of materials. Are you ready? Let's get started. Observing objects around us. Ghulan and Sheeta are thrilled to go to their new class after the summer break. They enter their classroom and start talking. What have you brought to school today? Asks Sheeta. Look, I have a new notebook. I also have a new notebook and a pen. After some time, Madam Vidya, their science teacher, enters the class and starts interacting with the students to draw their attention to many things they use in their daily life. She asks, how are they similar to or different from each other? What are their shapes and colors? How does it feel when you touch them? Are some of them heavier than others? All things are made up of some materials like paper, wood, cloth, glass, metal, plastic, clay, and so on. So, any substance that is used to create an object is referred to as material. Let us identify in activity 6.1. Make a list of objects you see around and also write the names of the materials they are made up of in table 6.1. For example, a chair can be made of wood or plastic because both these materials are strong enough to hold our weight. A water bottle is usually made of plastic or steel as these materials are safe for storing water and easy to carry. So, based on everyday observations, one can conclude that objects are made up of various materials. Let us explore materials further. How to group materials. So, group the objects shown in figure 6.1 based on any common property such as shape, color, hardness, softness, shine, dullness or materials they are made up of. So students, I will group them on the basis of materials they are made up of. You can also choose other properties like hard, soft, shiny, dull, etc. So objects like pencil, wooden scale, wooden spoon and charkha are made of wood because wood is strong, durable and easy to shape. Items such as pen, sharpener and plastic scale are made of plastic since it is lightweight and easy to mold. Keys, steel glass, steel spoon, lock and pliers are made of steel as it is hard and long lasting. The eraser and rubber ball are made of rubber because it is soft and flexible. Objects like glass tumbler and marbles are made of glass as it is transparent and shiny. Notebook, registers and paper cup are made of paper since it is light, foldable and can be written on. The diya and planter are made of clay because it can be easily molded and hardened on heating. A pebble is made of stone and the cricket ball is made using leather on the outside as leather is tough and gives a good grip. So this way we can clearly see that different objects are made from different materials depending on their use. Students, you must have noticed that an object can be made from different materials and some materials can be used to make more than one object. The method of arranging the objects into groups is called classification, and objects can be classified on the basis of a common property that they have. Similarly, we can classify materials based on certain properties. Activity 6.3. Let us think. So, let us think what materials we can use to make a tumbler. Fill in the names of the materials in the spaces provided in figure 6.2. So, students, materials that can be used to make a tumbler are glass, steel, paper, which is disposable cups, and mud, which is also known as earthen tumbler. These materials are commonly used because they are hard, durable, and can hold liquids without leaking. Would it be a good idea to use paper-like materials for making cooking utensils? So the answer is no. Using paper-like materials for making cooking utensils is generally not a good idea because paper has low heat resistance, low strength when wet, hygiene issues, short lifespan, and potential chemical risk. If coated with chemicals to improve durability, those chemicals might leach into food at high temperatures. Why cannot a tumbler made of cloth be used for storing water? So a tumbler made of cloth cannot be used for storing water because porosity of cloth. Cloth has tiny gaps between its fibers, so water easily seep through instead of staying inside. Absorbent nature, cloth fibers soak up water, making the tumbler wet rather than holding the water. And hygiene issues. Stagnant moisture in cloth promotes bacterial or fungal growth, making it unsafe for drinking water. So, in short, cloth cannot act as a watertight container because it is neither rigid nor impermeable to liquids. So, the materials that are required to make a tumbler should be capable of holding water. What decides which material should be used for making an object? We choose a material to make an object depending on its properties and the purpose for which the object is to be used. We may use different materials for making different parts of an object. For example, a pen may be made up of different materials like plastic, metal, and ink. Why are different materials used for making balls for various sports? So, the different sports use different types of balls because each game has special needs like weight, bounce, strength, and how the ball moves. For example, a football is made of leather, so it is light and easy to kick, whereas a cricket ball is made of leather with a cork inside to make it heavy and hard, so it can travel long distances when hit. A basketball is made of rubber or synthetic leather and filled with air, so it bounces well on the court, whereas a tennis ball is made of rubber and covered with nylon, so it bounces but doesn't move too fast. So, different materials are used to make balls so that they have the right weight, bounce, durability, and safety for each particular sport. Can a cricket ball be used to play tennis? So, no, a cricket ball cannot be used to play tennis because it is very hard and heavy, while a tennis ball is light and soft. Using a cricket ball in tennis would be unsafe and unsuitable for the game. Let us explore in activity 6.4. So figure 6.3 illustrates a variety of balls that are of the same size but made up of different materials. Take each ball and drop it from a fixed height. Note the height to which the ball bounces and record it in table 6.2. Identify the ball that achieves the highest bounce. So from this activity, we observe that the tennis ball achieves the highest bounce because it is made of rubber and filled with air, making it elastic and bouncy. Now observe figure 6.4 and group the objects in as many different ways as possible. So students, here you can see that the objects have been classified based on their shape, and here they have been classified according to their color. We also have learned that materials may be classified on the basis of their properties. For example, in the kitchen, we usually store things in such a manner where similar utensils are placed together. Similarly, a grocer usually keeps all types of spices in one corner, pulses and grains in another corner, and so on. Similarly, medicines are arranged by type of medicine, by storage condition, and by uses or therapeutic effects like painkillers for pain relief, antibiotics for infections, antipyretics for reducing fever, antacids for acidity, and antihistamines for allergy. What are the different properties of materials? Let us learn some more properties of materials. So, observe and identify appearance of materials. Materials often look different from each other. Freshly cut wood, which is unpolished, has a distinct appearance, quite different from that of iron. Similarly, iron looks different from copper or aluminium. However, there might be some similarities among iron, copper, and aluminium that make them different from wood. Let us do a sorting challenge. Collect small pieces of paper, cardboard, wood, chalk, copper wire, aluminium foil, and any other article made up of brass, bronze, steel, etc. Take a look at the pieces you have. Do any of these materials shine when light falls on them? Observe their texture, whether rough or smooth, color, and other noticeable features, and record your observations in the notebook. Group the collected pieces based on their appearance. Materials that typically have shiny surfaces are said to have a lustrous appearance. Such materials with luster are usually metals. Examples of metals include iron, copper, zinc, aluminium, gold, etc. However, some metals may lose their luster and start to look dull or non-lustrous due to the effect of air and moisture on them. As a result, we often notice the luster only on their freshly cut surfaces. So, non-lustrous materials are those that do not have a shiny surface. Some examples of non-lustrous materials are paper, wood, rubber, jute, etc. All that glitters is not gold, goes an old saying. Not all the materials that shine are metals. Surfaces of some materials are made shiny by polishing or coating them with thin layers of plastic, wax, or any other material which makes them look shiny. These materials may not be metals. Which materials are hard? So when you press different objects or materials with your hands, some of them like stone may be hard to compress while others like an eraser can be easily compressed. Take a metal key and use it to scratch the surface of a piece of wood, aluminium, stone, iron, candle, chalk and any other material or object. Can some materials be scratched more easily than others? Materials which can be compressed or scratched easily are soft, while other materials which are difficult to compress or scratch are hard. However, these properties are relative in nature. For example, rubber is harder than sponge but softer than. Let us observe in activity 6.5. So hold the objects given in table 6.3 with your hands. Feel whether the objects are hard or soft. Find out the materials they are made up of. Enter your observations in table 6.3. So the brick, water bottle, tumbler, table and spoon are hard, whereas pillow and sweater are soft. So you have learned that materials can have different properties like luster, hardness, softness and color. Can you think of any other properties that are shown by materials? Let us explore it further. Explore materials through which one can see or cannot see. So Ghulan, Sheeta and Sara are playing hide and seek with their friends. Ghulan hides behind a wall, Sheeta hides behind a big tree in the garden, while Sara hides behind the frosted glass door, which has a hazy surface. Sheeta's younger brother can see all of this happening through a glass window of his house. The materials through which things can be seen clearly are called transparent. Glass, water, air, cellophane, paper, etc. are some examples of transparent materials. There are many materials through which you are not able to see at all. These materials are called opaque. Wood, cardboard, and metals are examples of opaque materials. The materials through which objects can be seen but not clearly are known as translucent. Butter paper and frosted glass are examples of translucent materials. Now look at figure 6.5. Identify and label the nature of materials used by Ghulan, Sheeta, Sara and Sheeta's. So Ghulan hides behind a wall, and since a wall does not allow us to see through it, we call it opaque. Sheeta hides behind a big tree, and as wood does not let light pass through, it is also opaque. Sara hides behind a frosted glass door, which allows only some light to pass, so it is translucent. Meanwhile, Sheeta's younger brother can see all this clearly through the glass window of his house because ordinary glass is transparent. Let's classify this. So, glass tumbler is transparent, butter paper is translucent, eraser is opaque, frosted glass is translucent, wooden board is opaque, and window glass is transparent. I hope students now you have clearly understood the concept of opaque, translucent and transparent materials. Is water transparent? Can it be made opaque? So yes, pure water is transparent. We can see through it because it does not scatter or block light significantly. It can be made opaque by mixing substances like mud, chalk powder or milk into it, which scatter. Ghulan was sweating when he came home after playing in the evening. He was feeling tired and thirsty. Ghulan's mother mixed a spoonful of sugar, a pinch of salt, and some lemon juice in a glass tumbler of water and offered him this shikanji to drink. Ghulan noticed that while his mother was mixing sugar and salt in water, the salt and the sugar disappeared after a while. So let's understand what is soluble in water and what is not. Let us try a simple activity to explore how different materials behave when we mix them in water. Let us explore in activity 6.7. So collect small amounts of sugar, salt, chalk powder, sand and sawdust. Take 5 glass tumblers and fill them about 2/3 with water. Put a teaspoonful of sugar in the first glass tumbler, salt in the second one, chalk powder in the third, sand in the fourth, and sawdust in the fifth glass tumbler. On stirring, predict what will happen in each case. So, sugar will disappear, salt will disappear, chalk powder will disappear in water, sawdust will not disappear, and honey will disappear in water. So, does everything you put in water disappear? You might have noticed that some materials completely disappear when mixed in water. We say that these materials dissolve in water, or in other words, they are soluble in water. Some materials do not mix with water and do not disappear even after we stir them for a long time. These materials are insoluble. Water plays an important role in the functioning of our body because it can dissolve a large number of materials. Make your own ORS. ORS, that is oral rehydration solution, is used to treat dehydration due to diarrhea or other illness. These ready-made ORS packets are available in primary health centers and also in the market. Each packet is dissolved in a liter of water before use. If these are not available, ORS can be prepared at home by mixing 6 teaspoons of sugar and half a teaspoon of common salt in 1 liter of boiled and cooled water. Do liquids like oil, vinegar, and honey dissolve in water? So, no, oil does not dissolve in water, it is immiscible and floats on top because it is less dense and non polar. Vinegar dissolves in water. Vinegar is mostly acetic acid and water, so it mixed completely. That is, vinegar is soluble in water. Honey dissolves in water. Honey contains sugar that dissolves, although it may take some stirring because it is thick. What about the gases present in water? So, some gases are soluble in water whereas others are not. For example, oxygen gas dissolves in water. It is very important for the survival of animals and plants that live in water. How heavy or light? Let us measure in activity 6.8. Let us take 3 identical paper cups, fill each cup half with the provided materials. Fill one with water and mark it as A, second with sand and mark it as B, and the third with pebbles and mark it as C. Predict which one would be heavier and which one would be lighter. From this activity, we can say that any object which is heavier or lighter can be measured in terms of a property called mass. The one which is heavier has more mass and the one which is lighter has less mass. Weight is sometimes used in common language for mass as it is determined by weighing. You will learn more about mass and weight and their relation in space and volume. So next day, Madam Vidya enters the class. All the students stand up to greet her. She reciprocates and deliberately says, "Please keep your bags on your seats and sit down." Students are not able to sit because bags are kept on their seats. Madam Vidya asks, "Why are you not sitting?" The students reply that there is no place to sit because the bags have occupied that space. Continuing the conversation, she provides 2 identical glass tumblers to 2 students and encourages them to pour the remaining water from their drinking water bottles into the respective glass tumblers. On pouring water in the glass tumbler, the students observe that one glass tumbler gets half filled with water, while the other is almost completely filled with water. Why is the level of water different in the 2 tumblers? Madam Vidya elaborates that both tumblers have the same capacity. The water levels differ in each case, which indicates that the amount of water in each tumbler is different. The water in the first tumbler occupies less space, indicating that the volume of water in this tumbler is less than the water in the other tumbler. The space occupied by water represents its volume. Why was I not able to transfer water from the jug into an empty water bottle completely? Now I know the reason behind it. You may have noticed drinking water bottles of different sizes being sold in the market. Have you noticed 1 liter, 500 ml, 200 ml, etc. written as net quantity on the bottles? These indicate the volume of water in the bottles. The bottles of drinking water and milk are labeled as 500 ml, indicating the volume. Now you have become familiar with many properties of materials. However, all materials do not possess all these properties. So, are there any properties which can be shown by all materials? If yes, what are those? So, mass and volume are the 2 properties that are possessed by all materials. Can we give a general name to anything that possesses these 2 properties? Yes, anything that occupies space and has mass is called matter. The mass gives the quantity of matter and the units to measure it are gram and kilogram. The space occupied by matter is its volume. The units to measure the volume are liter and milliliter. Is air matter? So yes, air is matter. Even though we cannot see it, air is made up of tiny particles that is molecules of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, etc., that occupy space. Air fills balloons, tires, and rooms, have mass. A filled football is heavier than an empty one and can be felt. Moving air creates wind, which we can feel. So, yes, air is matter. Can all the materials around us be considered as different examples of matter? For example, water is matter, sand and pebbles are matter, and so is the cup. Materials are types of matter used in the creation or making of objects. We learned that materials look different and behave differently. We grouped materials on the basis of similarities or differences in their properties. Humans have been classifying not only things but also rocks, plants, and animals. We have learned about the classification of the living world in the chapter Diversity in the Living World. Just like in the living world, classification of the non living world is also done on the basis of. Can you think about what changes the invention of plastic brought to humans? Is it a boon? The invention of plastic brought huge changes to human life, some good and some bad. Boon. Lightweight and strong, easier to carry and transport compared to metal, glass, or wood. Durable, long lasting, and resistant to rust, rot, or corrosion. Low cost, cheaper to produce and buy, making goods affordable. Multi-purpose, can be molded into countless shapes for bottles, bags, furniture, toys, medical equipments, etc. Hygienic use, used in food packaging and medical tools to prevent contamination. Bane, non-biodegradable, takes hundreds of years to decompose, leading to waste problems. Pollution, causes soil, water, and air pollution when burnt or dumped. Harm to animals. Marine and land animals may eat plastic and die. Microplastics break into tiny particles that enter the food chain, affecting health. And overuse. Disposable plastic items increase waste rapidly. So, in conclusion, we can say that plastic is both a boon and a bane. It has improved convenience, safety, and cost effectiveness, but careless use and poor waste management have made it an environmental threat. The key is to use plastic wisely, reduce, reuse, recycle, and switch to eco friendly alternatives where possible. So students, today we have explored and understood the different properties of materials. That's all for today. In our next video, we will discuss the question and answers of this chapter. Bye bye.